Okay, let's talk about how you would actually set up your .xml file if you want to use schema. Um, First, we need to look at the top where we have some new information that we've never seen before. First off, we always do this. We do our document type declaration. So we have, again, it's the same more or less recipe that we've used before. So that will be in there. And then the first line is essentially where your root node would be in your XML file. So here we have Wonder. Remember, we were looking up here at this, so we've added just a little bit more text. And here we have our namespace definition. We're not going to talk about namespaces that much in this module, but we'll talk about them in depth later on in the course. But we need to talk about them enough just so you kind of know why it's there and what's going on with it. So as you can see, it says XMLNS, which is namespace, colon XSI. And basically what that does is tell the parser that we are using the schema standard and that you need to go to this namespace, if you will, and look for this XML instance. And basically it's in the parser itself or the browser, so it's not going out on the web. But it's going to go and get that namespace, and then that way anytime we do anything with XML schema, it knows all the commands, if you will, the recipes, the simple type, complex type, data types, all that stuff we're going to use when we use the XML schema standard. It's going to know what to do with that because you've referenced it here in this XML namespace command. The next thing that's going to happen is there's this sort of little recipe here that you just need to follow. In fact, the whole thing you can pretty much copy and paste it, and the only thing you're going to be updating is your root node and then this file reference here. So what this means is basically that this schema namespace location is not out on the web, so that's why it has no there. It means it's going to be held locally. So here, this is obviously an example from the book, but what we're doing here is just referencing a .xml schema or .xsd file. Just like we did with our document type definitions, we'd always reference those from the XML file. We're going to do the same thing with XML schema. We're going to reference it from the XML file, and here's how you do it. And again, it's just handy, as we did with document type definitions. Keep your .xml file and your .xsd file in the same directory or the same folder, and that way you don't need to get into like putting a long path name. They're just right there together. So that's how you connect an XML file to your schema file.